They had won. It was a perfect night. Every detail was planned, every contingency managed. They were celebrating their family's future, and my exclusion from it. They had planned for everything, except me. They had tucked me away, miles from their perfect party, and stood there toasting their victory. What they didn't know? My phone was on, my Wi-Fi was strong, and I was about to rebrand their entire lives. This is the story of how a 5-year-long gaslight was shattered by a single Instagram photo, and how one perfectly branded selfie became a declaration of war. Welcome back to the channel. We tell stories about the pivot point, the exact moment the power dynamic inverts. If you appreciate that, do me a favor and like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's a strategic breakdown of how a single, authentic post cost a man his biggest client and got his wife 3 new ones. You'll want to stay until the end to hear the one-word text message that sealed the entire grand undoing. Now let's begin. You're looking at it all wrong. That's the first thing I realized when the fog cleared. You're looking at it as a wife, as a person. You're feeling the hurt, the sting of betrayal, the humiliation. And that's what they expect. It's what they've always relied on. They rely on you to be a bundle of messy, incoherent emotions. They see emotion as weakness, as dramatic, as unrefined. That was my mother-in-law, Patricia's entire worldview. She was the matriarch of this clannish, elitist world. A world built on a flawless public image. In her world, there were 2 categories of people: those who belonged and those who did not. And I, Sarah, her son's wife of 5 years, was a permanent resident of the second category. I was a branding mismatch. I'm a marketing strategist. My entire professional life is built on understanding perception, on analyzing a message, on digging through the noise and the lies to find the one single authentic truth, and then leveraging it to reposition a brand. I am by nature and by trade an analyst, and for 5 years in my personal life, I had allowed myself to be badly branded. I had accepted the label they stamped on me. Not quite good enough. A little too ambitious. Not from the right people. I had internalized this. I believed I was the one who needed to try harder, be quieter, be more of whatever they wanted. I, a woman who could reposition a failing C-suite executive with a single authentic campaign, had accepted the not quite good enough label my in-laws stamped on me. I wasn't weak. I was patient. Or so I told myself. I told myself that warmth and time would eventually win them over. And Matthew, my husband. He was the one I had misanalyzed for 5 years. He was the brand I had fundamentally misunderstood. I met him at a young professional event. He was ambitious, charming. He seemed to be the perfect partner, and I mistook his position in that family. I thought he was a neutral party, a peacemaker, a diplomat, caught between the wife he loved and the family he was born into. That was my final, flawed reframe, the one that allowed the rot to set in. He wasn't a peacemaker. He wasn't a diplomat. He was his family's willing accomplice. Look at them. This was the engagement party for his brother, a milestone, a foundational event for the family's next generation. And they are toasting. Matthew, his mother, Patricia, his sister, Jaime, who was a carbon copy of her mother, just sharper, meaner, less polished. They're all standing there, clinking glasses. That's the expression that tells the whole story. Relief. The relief of a man who has successfully compartmentalized his life. The problem, me, was miles away, on a mountain, bundled in ski gear. The prize, his family's undivided, approving attention, was right here in this ballroom. He didn't have to perform the impossible circus act of managing his dramatic wife and his traditional mother. He had simply removed one of the variables. His core flaw, the one I had mistaken for diplomacy, was a pathetic, bottomless need for his family's approval. He is a 30-something-year-old man who is still terrified of being the son who disappoints. He loved me less than he feared his mother. And in that moment, in that ballroom, he was the perfect son. The golden boy. They had won. It was a perfect night. A fortress of their own design, and I was on the outside. Their victory was total. Their power was their image, their social standing, their business, their sense of self. It was all built on the perception of perfection, the perfect family, the philanthropic galas, the unbreakable bond, and in that moment, they had achieved it. They were celebrating their family's future, and my exclusion from it. Then, the first domino, a single phone, not theirs, a guest's, a family friend. You see, their closed system had a flaw. It wasn't closed. They had invited other people, spouses, friends, business partners, people who existed in my world, too. People who followed me on Instagram, people who, unlike his family, actually liked me. The woman picks it up. Her eyes widen. She leans over, shows the woman next to her. That woman's smile tightens. She subtly pulls out her own phone. A whisper starts. It's a fascinating thing to watch, even in my mind's eye. The physics of a narrative collapse. The sound of the room changed. The smooth, confident laughter faltered, replaced by a low, insectile murmur. The frequency of the event shifted. The brand was breaking. Jaime noticed it first, of course. She was the enforcer. She saw the whispering, and her face darkened. This was an unscripted moment, a flaw in their perfect production. She marched over to the first guest, and with that breathtaking arrogance of hers, that "we own this room" entitlement, she grabbed the guest's phone. She was going to snuff out this little fire. They had planned for everything, except me. They had tucked me away, miles from their perfect party, and assumed my silence. They assumed I would be ashamed, that I would be quiet, that I would sit in the dark, nursing my wound. They forgot. I had a voice. This is the moment, the pivot, the instant the entire power dynamic of my 5-year marriage inverted. Matthew looks at the phone. He sees the same image they all see. His wife, not sitting in the dark, but radiant in the bright alpine sun. He sees the caption. And what does he feel? Fear? Regret? Shame? No, annoyance. He scoffs. He's annoyed, but not scared. He's the golden boy, and this is just his dramatic wife acting out. A small, inconvenient emotional flare-up. I can hear his words even from 1,000 miles away. She's just being dramatic, he says, forcing a laugh to the nervous guests around him. It's nothing, ignore it. Tell her to take it down. That was his mistake, his fatal mistake. He thought it was an emotional outburst. He didn't realize it was a marketing campaign. He's a 30-something man who is still terrified of his mother. He loves me less than he fears her. And that cowardice, that pathetic need for approval, makes him blind. He sees me as a compliant, nice girl, an accessory. He and his entire family are so consumed with their own internal narrative that they completely, fatally underestimated me. He didn't see the strategist. He didn't see the woman who, 48 hours earlier, had finally stopped reframing his weakness as diplomacy. He thought the post was an attack. It wasn't. It was an advertisement for the truth. And their greatest strength, their public image, was the exact weakness I was about to exploit. He thought the only thing that mattered was their party. He didn't realize I had the power to expose them to the public one. The transition is jarring. This is the setup collapse. This is the how. He was so convincing. That's the part that sticks with you. The craftsmanship of the lie, the performance. We were in our kitchen. The kitchen I had designed, all warm woods and clean lines. It was a Saturday morning. He was leaning against the counter holding a coffee mug. He had that look on his face. The one I had spent 5 years learning to interpret as gentle concern. It's just a boring family thing, he said. He looked me right in the eyes. That's the part that takes skill. No flickering, no hesitation. Just perfect, kind eyes. Babe, my parents are throwing this last-minute reunion thing for my brother's engagement. It's not the real party, that's later. This is just the core family. He feigned disappointment. A little sigh. He ran a hand through his hair. It's a stuffy, formal thing at their house, he continued, selling the narrative. Mom's going overboard. You know how she gets. Honestly, you'd hate it. You'd hate it. 3 words. So simple. So caring. For 5 years, I had endured the death by 1,000 cuts. It was never one big dramatic event. It was 1,000 small, sharp paper cuts of exclusion. The inside jokes I wasn't privy to. The family-only brunches I was only told about afterward. The way Patricia would compliment my dress and, in the same breath, ask, "Oh, is that from that store?" The way Jaime would forget to include me on an email thread about Sunday dinner. The constant, subtle dismissals of my career. "Oh, marketing? That sounds fun." And every single time, every single cut when I would try to voice this, when I would seek just a shred of validation, Matthew would deploy his diplomacy. "You're just being sensitive, Sarah. That's just how she is. You're taking it the wrong way. They don't mean it like that. You just don't know them yet. You just don't know them yet." After 5 years of marriage, he was the judge, jury, and defense attorney for his family's cruelty. He systematically invalidated my reality. He gaslit me so smoothly, so consistently, that I had internalized it. I was the one who needed to try harder, be quieter, be less. So when he stood there, fabricating this boring reunion, I didn't feel excluded. I felt relieved. He wasn't forcing me to go. He was protecting me from an unpleasant evening with his difficult family. He was being a good husband. And then the masterstroke, the final turn of the key. "You know," he said, putting his mug down and walking over, "that ski trip you and the girls were trying to plan? You should go, seriously, use the weekend. I already feel bad I'm going to be stuck with them. You should go have fun. You deserve a break from all this family stuff." He framed it as his gift to me. He didn't just bar me from a milestone. He didn't just lie. He constructed a narrative. He tricked me into removing myself. He made me an unwitting accomplice in my own humiliation. He didn't just passively fail to defend me. He proactively engineered my humiliation. He even helped me pack. Kissed me goodbye at the airport. Told me to have a drink for him. This was 24 hours ago. I was there. In that lodge, I felt free. The air was clean. The mountains were majestic and simple. They didn't have hidden motives. They were just there. I even felt a little guilty. Guilty that I was having such a good time while he was stuck at a stuffy family dinner. I was sitting by the fire, a glass of wine in my hand, scrolling Instagram, just idly decompressing. My friends had gone to bed, but I was enjoying the quiet. And then I saw it. It wasn't a tag from Matthew, or Patricia, or Jaime. They were too smart for that. They were a closed system, but it was from a peripheral guest. Someone who didn't get the memo that Sarah is to be erased. The photo. It wasn't a boring reunion at their house. The whole family. The blood just left my body. That's not an exaggeration. It was a physical sensation, a sudden, icy void in my chest. My hands went cold. The wine glass felt heavy. It wasn't a reunion. It was a lie. A 5-year lie. All compressed into one glittering black tie photo. I clicked the tag. I kept scrolling. More photos. Everyone was there, other spouses. Other fiancés, friends, business partners. Matthew's main client, Mr. Harrison, a stiff family values traditionalist, was in a photo, toasting. I wasn't excluded from a core family event. I was the only person excluded. The only spouse. The only partner. They don't understand that the trap is already set. They're about to watch their world unravel in real time, all because they overlooked one simple detail: me. The domino reveal has begun. And the light? The light on that mountain was perfect. This is timeline A, the past, the setup. I stood up from the fire. The wine glass was still in my hand. I placed it on the hearth deliberately. I didn't slam it. I didn't throw it. I placed it. I watched the fire reflect in the red. The woman who had been sitting there, the patient wife, she was gone. She evaporated in the heat of that humiliation. What was left was me, the strategist, the analyst. The part of me I had silenced for 5 years in my own home. My hands weren't shaking. That's what I remember most. They were perfectly, absolutely still. I walked out of the lodge. I didn't grab my coat. The cold hit me like a slap, a physical, clarifying shock. It was exactly what I needed. I walked past the laughing groups, the warm fires, and headed straight for the ski lift. It was still running, taking skiers up for the last run of the day. He didn't just lie. He thought I was stupid. That's what echoed in my head with every crunch of my boots in the snow. He thought I was compliant. He thought I was a nice, quiet girl who would sit politely in the dark he had assigned me. He thought I would internalize this, like I had internalized all the other cuts. He thought I would be ashamed. He thought I would sit quietly in the dark. But I was on top of a mountain, and the light was perfect. The world was silent up here, just the mechanical hum of the cable and the wind. I took out my phone. My battery was at 84%. The Wi-Fi signal from the lodge was gone, but I had a full 5G signal. Good. I opened my notes app. I began a brand analysis, the same way I would for a failing C-suite client. The brand, the family. Core values, elitism, success, family values, unbreakable bonds, philanthropic, perfect. Core values, elitism, arrogance, manipulation, cowardice, exclusion. Brand strength, their flawless public image. Brand weakness, their terror of that image being tarnished. Their arrogance, their underestimation of me. The key stakeholder, Mr. Harrison, Matthew's biggest client. A family values traditionalist. A man who bought into their brand completely. He admires their strong image. His account is the foundation of Matthew's personal success. The objective, not to hurt them. Not at first. The objective was justice. The objective was to expose the lie, to turn their greatest strength, their image, into their greatest weakness. The strategy, not to attack their brand, but to launch a competing one. A brand of one. My brand. The truth, authenticity. They had built their power on privacy and lies. The only way to dismantle that power was with publicity and truth. They had won by excluding me from their private world. I would win by exposing them to the public one. The lift clanked to a stop at the summit. I got off. The view was staggering. The sun was starting to dip, the golden hour for photography. The light was, as I said, perfect. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. The wind was sharp. It didn't care about me. It didn't coddle me or lie to me. It was just true. He sent me here to be invisible. I would use this place to become the only thing they could see. This is timeline B, the present. The payoff. The whispers are louder. It's no longer a few isolated guests. It's a wave. You can see it moving through the room. A cluster of people by the bar. A table of business associates. The wives. They are all looking down at their phones, then looking up. At Matthew. His phone is buzzing in his pocket. A single text. Then another. Then a flood. A constant vibrating stream of notifications. What does Sarah mean by that post? Is everything okay with you two? LOL, drama. Saw Sarah's post. Where is she? He's trying to ignore it. He's the golden boy, charming his way through a minor inconvenience. Then Jaime, she's storming through the crowd. Her face is pale with rage. She grabs Matthew's arm hard and shoves her phone in his face. What is this? She hisses. What did you do? It's nothing, he says, trying to pull his arm away. She's just being dramatic. I'll handle it. You'd better handle it, Patricia says, gliding up to them. Her voice is a sliv and I was on a mountain. Exactly where he'd sent me. This is the moment the wounded analyst was born. The moment the wife trying to fit in died. All that patience I'd cultivated, it wasn't patience. It was deference. I had been reframing his behavior for 5 years. He's not being weak. He's just a diplomat. She's not being cruel. She's just traditional. And in that lodge, in the firelight, I did my final reframe. The only one that mattered. He's not a diplomat. He's a coward. And I'm not too sensitive. I'm just done. My reality, which he had so carefully invalidated, finally crystallized. I was never family. I was just a temporary, inconvenient accessory. Conventional justice was never an option. The system was corrupt. The judge, my husband, was the perpetrator. I couldn't talk this out. What would I say? You lied to me? He would just reframe. I was trying to protect you. You would have been miserable. He would turn his profound, masterfully constructed betrayal into another example of my sensitivity. The game they forced me to play, the polite, silent, patient wife, was rigged, so I stopped playing. They built their power on privacy and lies. The only path to justice, I realized, was publicity and truth. I didn't need to talk it out. I just needed to exist, publicly. I just needed to tell my own story. My husband, the man who was terrified of his mother, the man whose entire career was enmeshed with his family's reputation, had just handed me, a marketing strategist, the perfect weapon. His entire world was built on a brand of perfection, of family values, and I was about to execute a hostile takeover. So the lie was constructed. Masterfully, I'll admit. He looked me in the eyes, my husband, and sold me a narrative of a boring family reunion. He was so caring, so convincing. He packaged my own humiliation as a gift, a ski trip. He didn't just exclude me. He made me an unwitting accomplice in my own erasure. For 5 years, I was the compliant, nice girl, the one who was too sensitive. I was the one reframing his cowardice as diplomacy. But that ended. In that ski lodge, with the firelight on my face, the 5-year-long gaslight finally shattered. The discovery of that one Instagram photo wasn't just a discovery of a lie. It was a revelation of a fundamental truth. I was never family. I was just an accessory. And the woman who would have cried about that, she's gone. In her place is a marketing strategist. A woman who understands that their entire world, their power, their business, their social standing, is built on a single, fragile asset, their image. My selfie wasn't an outburst. It was an opening salvo. A single, authentic pin pressed against a bubble of lies. They are at their party, feeling their apparent victory. They're annoyed by the whispers. They think they can just tell me to take it down. They think this is a marital spat. They don't understand that the trap is already set. They're about to watch their world unravel in real time, all because they overlooked one simple detail: me. The domino reveal has begun. And the light on that mountain was perfect. This is timeline A, the past, the setup. I stood up from the fire. The wine glass was still in my hand. I placed it on the hearth, deliberately. I didn't slam it. I didn't throw it. I placed it. I watched the fire reflect in the red. The woman who had been sitting there, the patient wife, she was gone. She evaporated in the heat of that humiliation. What was left was me. The strategist, the analyst, the part of me I had silenced for 5 years in my own home. My hands weren't shaking. That's what I remember most. They were perfectly, absolutely still. I walked out of the lodge. I didn't grab my coat. The cold hit me like a slap, a physical, clarifying shock. It was exactly what I needed. I walked past the laughing groups, the warm fires, and headed straight for the ski lift. It was still running, taking skiers up for the last run of the day. He didn't just lie. He thought I was stupid. That's what echoed in my head with every crunch of my boots in the snow. He thought I was compliant. He thought I was a nice, quiet girl who would sit politely in the dark he had assigned me. He thought I would internalize this, like I had internalized all the other cuts. He thought I would be ashamed. He thought I would sit quietly in the dark. But I was on top of a mountain, and the light. The light was perfect. The world was silent up here. Just the mechanical hum of the cable and the wind. I took out my phone. My battery was at 84%. The Wi-Fi signal from the lodge was gone, but I had a full 5G signal. Good. I opened my notes app. I began a brand analysis, the same way I would for a failing C-suite client. The brand, the family. Core values: elitism, success, family values, unbreakable bonds, philanthropic, perfect. Core values: elitism, arrogance, manipulation, cowardice, exclusion. Brand strength: their flawless public image. Brand weakness: their terror of that image being tarnished. Their arrogance: their underestimation of me. The key stakeholder: Mr. Harrison, Matthew's biggest client. A family values traditionalist, a man who bought into their brand completely. He admires their strong image. His account is the foundation of Matthew's personal success. The objective: not to hurt them, not at first. The objective was justice. The objective was to expose the lie, to turn their greatest strength, their image, into their greatest weakness. The strategy: not to attack their brand, but to launch a competing one. A brand of one. My brand. The truth. Authenticity. They had built their power on privacy and lies. The only way to dismantle that power was with publicity and truth. They had won by excluding me from their private world. I would win by exposing them to the public one. The lift clanked to a stop at the summit. I got off. The view was staggering. The sun was starting to dip, the golden hour for photography. The light was, as I said, perfect. I stood there for a long time, just breathing. The wind was sharp. It didn't care about me. It didn't coddle me or lie to me. It was just true. He sent me here to be invisible. I would use this place to become the only thing they could see. This is timeline B, the present, the payoff. The whispers are louder. It's no longer a few isolated guests. It's a wave. You can see it moving through the room, a cluster of people by the bar, a table of business associates, the wives. They are all looking down at their phones, then looking up, at Matthew. His phone is buzzing in his pocket, a single text, then another, then a flood, a constant vibrating stream of notifications. What does Sarah mean by that post? Is everything okay with you two? LOL, drama. Saw Sarah's post, where is she? He's trying to ignore it. He's the golden boy, charming his way through a minor inconvenience. Then Jaime. She's storming through the crowd. Her face is pale with rage. She grabs Matthew's arm hard and shoves her phone in his face. What is this? She hisses. What did you do? It's nothing, he says, trying to pull his arm away. She's just being dramatic. I'll handle it. You'd better handle it, Patricia says, gliding up to them. Her voice is a sliver of ice. Her smile is still plastered on, but her eyes are drilling into her son. This is not the night for her antics. Antics. That's what they called my 5 years of silent suffering. My eventual breaking point, an antic. But the real problem wasn't us. It was across the room. Mr. Harrison reads it. He looks at my selfie. He reads the caption. Turns out the mountains were more welcoming than some families. He looks up. His eyes scan the room. He sees Matthew, he sees Patricia and Jaime. He sees the new couple, and he sees no Sarah. He doesn't say anything. He just watches. He watches Matthew sweating. He watches Jaime fuming. He watches the perfect family unraveling. Their world was a bubble. All it took was one sharp, authentic pin. And the welcoming mountains? That was just good branding. I opened my camera. I turned it to face me. My first attempt was wrong. I looked, hurt. There was a tightness in my eyes, a shadow of the wronged wife. No, I thought. Too weak. That's what they expect. That's what Matthew expects. A tear-stained call. A plea for an explanation. This photo. This is a request for comfort. I am not requesting comfort. I deleted it. I took a deep breath. I let the cold air fill my lungs. I thought about my career. I thought about the brands I had built. The power of a single clear message. My second attempt. I tried to look angry. I narrowed my eyes, a defiant stare. The angry victim. No, I thought again. Too messy. Anger is still an emotion. It's still a reaction. It's still, in its own way, giving them power. It makes me the dramatic wife. It proves their narrative. I deleted it. What was the brand? Not the wronged wife. Not the angry victim. The thriving woman. That was it. I wouldn't tell their story of lies. I would tell my story of truth. I wouldn't attack them. I wouldn't mention them. I wouldn't post screenshots of their party. That was their world. This was mine. I relaxed my face. I thought about the last 5 years, the endless, humiliating parade of trying. And then, I just let it go. I smiled. A genuine, small, real smile. The smile of a woman who had just been set free. The sun hit my face. The majestic, indifferent mountains were my backdrop. I looked at the photo. Perfect. Now, the caption. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. My first instinct. Guess my invitation to the real party got lost. Have fun lying, our Matthew. No, too direct, too messy. It's an accusation. It makes me a participant in their drama. My second instinct. While my husband and his family celebrate without me, I'm just going to be here. No. Too victim-y. It centers them. It makes me the sad, excluded wife. It begs for pity. I needed a caption that was authentic, sharp, and, from a marketing perspective, undeniable. I thought about the word Matthew had used. Stuffy. Boring. I thought about the word Patricia and Jaime always used to describe me. Dramatic. Too sensitive. I thought about the cold, sterile, artificial world of their party and the vast, authentic, brilliant world I was standing in. I typed, "Turns out the mountains were more welcoming than some families." I read it back. That was it. It was perfect. It was good branding. It was passive but razor sharp. It told the entire story without a single accusation. It was the truth. It positioned me as the one in the light, and them as the unwelcoming shadows. It was my story. And I was in complete, absolute control. My thumb hovered over the post button. This was the moment, the point of no return. For 5 years, I had played their game, by their rules. The polite wife, the quiet one, the one who never made a scene. That woman was dead. I hit post. The trap was set. Matthew is sweating. He's pulling at his bow tie. He's texting, his back to the room, trying to hide his phone from the prying eyes of his client. His first text. "Sarah, what the hell is this? Take it down. You're making a scene." Making a scene. The family's cardinal sin. He wasn't asking if I was okay. He wasn't apologizing. He was managing me. He was still giving me orders. His second text. "You need to delete that. Now. You are embarrassing me." There it was. The real truth. The core of the man I had married. Not, "You are hurting." Not, "We need to talk." Not, "I am so, so sorry." But, "You are embarrassing me." He had constructed a web of lies to humiliate me, to erase me from his family's milestone, to ship me off to a mountain. And I was embarrassing him. Because I hadn't been a good girl and kept his secret. For 5 years, a text like that from him would have shattered me. It would have sent me into a spiral of panic, guilt, and shame. I would have called, crying. I would have apologized. I would have apologized to him. And I would have taken it down. I looked at his message. I looked at the word embarrassing, and I typed one single beautiful word. I hit send. For 5 years, no was the word I was never allowed to use. You're being sensitive. Don't be dramatic. Just let it go. No. It felt good. That was the moment he finally realized. This wasn't an emotional outburst. This wasn't dramatic Sarah having an antic. This was a strategist. And this was a declaration of war. The mistake they made was simple. They believed their own narrative. They thought I was a nice girl, a dramatic wife, who could be managed. They thought the game was about their party, their private world. So while they stood in their dark, glittering ballroom, high on their apparent victory, I was on a mountain, in the bright, clean, public sunlight. I didn't have an emotional breakdown. I had a strategic realignment. I, a marketing strategist, finally analyzed the brand of my own marriage and found it rotten. I didn't post an angry rant. I launched a competing brand. The wronged wife was a weak, messy message. The thriving woman? That was a story, that was power. My selfie wasn't an attack. It was a single, authentic truth. My caption wasn't an accusation. It was just good branding. Now the domino reveal was in full motion. The whispers at the party had become a roar. Matthew, in his panic, made his final fatal error. He texted, "You are embarrassing me." He was still giving orders. He still thought he was in control. And for the first time in 5 years, I used the one word I was never allowed. No. That single word was the sound of the trap snapping shut. He finally realized this wasn't a marital spat. It was a declaration of war. And as we enter final part, the grand undoing, he's about to learn that in a battle of perception versus truth, the truth always wins. The final piece is moving into place. This is the moment of convergence. In timeline A on that mountain, my thumb had just pressed send. The trap was set. The message was delivered. In Timeline B at the party, that message has just landed. And with it, the final domino. Matthew looks up from his phone, his eyes wide with a panic I had never seen before. He looks up small, and then it happens. He doesn't look angry. He looks disappointed, which, for a man like Harrison, is so much worse. He walks directly up to Matthew, who is still frozen, staring at his phone. "Matthew," Harrison says. His voice isn't loud, but it cuts through the whispers. Matthew flinches, looking up. "Mr. Harrison, I was just... My wife just showed me something," Harrison says, not even glancing at Patricia or Jamie. He is speaking only to Matthew. "We pride our company on judgment, Matthew, on character. Lying to your own wife? Hiding her from your family?" He gestures with his chin, a small, dismissive nod toward the party. "It's a bad look. A very bad look." And click, the trap snapped shut. For 5 years, their power was their closed system, their private world, their inside jokes. They thought I was powerless because I was on the outside. But Harrison, he was an outsider too, just like me. And in that moment, I, the excluded wife on a mountain, had more influence over him than Patricia, the matriarch, standing right next to him. I had successfully rebranded my in-laws. For 5 years, they were clannish and strong. In a single post, I had reframed them as deceitful and weak. "Mr. Harrison," she says, her voice a poisonous, fake sweet coo. "This is a private family misunderstanding." The same script she always used. The same one Matthew used on me. It's private. It's a misunderstanding. Sarah can be difficult. Ah, there it was. The final desperate branding. I was the difficult one. I was the problem. He doesn't remove her hand. He just looks at her. "She doesn't look difficult, Patricia," he says, his voice flat. "She looks like she's on a ski trip. A ski trip you all apparently lied to her about." And there it is. The brand is broken. The perfect family is just a group of liars. And Mr. Harrison, a man whose entire personal brand is built on character and family values, cannot be associated with this. He turns back to Matthew. "We'll be terminating our account on Monday," he says, as calmly as if he were ordering a coffee. "I can't have my company's reputation tied to this." He walks away. He and his wife leave the party without a backward glance. Their crime was exclusion. They worked for 5 years to make me invisible. The poetic justice? The grand undoing? I used a single public authentic post to make them completely, ruinously visible. They had built their entire identity on a flawless public image. They were so obsessed with perception that they forgot about truth. I didn't have to fight them. I didn't have to scream or cry. I just had to show up. "Yes, Sarah. Live your best life. I've met his family." This caption is, "Good for you. Don't let them treat you like that." This is the most authentic and savage post I have ever seen. You're my hero. The reversal was complete. It was so precise, so clean. The very same post that cost him his biggest client was the same post that got me 3 new ones. He lost his job because of his lie. I gained a new career because of my truth. I sat at a small table by the window. I was early. He was late. When he finally walked in, I barely recognized him. He slides into the chair opposite me. He doesn't make eye contact. He just stares at his hands. "I get it," he mumbles. "I messed up. I just waited." I sipped my coffee. I said nothing. "It's just..." He sighs, a deep, shuddering breath. "They pressured me, Sarah. You know what my mother is like." And there it was. Even now, even after losing his client, after losing, well, me, he was still a coward. Still blaming his mother. Still framing himself as the victim. "We can fix this," he says, finally looking up. His eyes are desperate, pleading. I can talk to Harrison. "You can, I don't know. You can post something else. You can say it was a misunderstanding." I finally saw him. Not as my husband. Not as a partner, but as a weak brand. A failed product. He wasn't sorry he betrayed me. He was sorry he got caught. He wasn't sad he lost me. He was sad he lost his client. His "we" wasn't about us. It was about him. He needed me to help him fix his brand. I put my coffee cup down. "No, Matthew," I say. My voice is quiet, but firm. "We can't," I stand up. He looks stunned. He actually thought this was a negotiation. Sarah, wait. Don't do this." I didn't look back. I just walked out of the coffee shop into the bright, cold, authentic light. I left him there, sitting with the ghost of the we he had personally, proactively, and masterfully destroyed. It's strange. For 5 years, I had tried so hard to be accepted by them, to be good enough. My new life began the moment I stopped. I look at it. An apology from her. A month too late. A career too late. I click it. The first line reads, "While I believe family matters should be kept private, she's still trying to manage me, still trying to control the narrative, still scolding me even in her apology. I don't even read the rest. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The world isn't always fair, but a well-told story is. So in the end, the reversal was complete. They had built their entire world on a flawless but false public image. She just told the truth. It turns out the world isn't always fair, but a well-told story is. Thank you so much for watching this entire breakdown. I truly appreciate your time and attention. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It really does help the channel. And now I want to hear from you. What was the exact moment for you? Was it the perfectly crafted selfie? The one-word no text? Or was it the moment Mr. Harrison walked across the ballroom floor? Leave a comment below with your favorite part of this strategic takedown. If you love stories about complex justice and the power of a good strategy, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new analysis. And the best way to support the channel is simply to share this video with one person who you know will appreciate it. Until next time, stay authentic, stay strategic, and never, ever let them write your story for you.